Hey friends. You're getting an early morning post this time because we are flying to Michigan later today, late morning. And I don't want to have to do my post in an airport somewhere. So I thought I would do it now. And I have been having, as usual, it's like the way this post often works is that there'll be like a thought will happen on a day, and then it'll come back for a few days, and then at some point there'll be a kind of crystallizing moment of either that comes to fruition or some other information comes in and goes, that's what this is about. And it's like it plucks it or it throws a net around a bunch of experiences that have been present and that I may be very conscious of, but that I haven't quite found that moment of insight. For me, it's the moment of insight that allows me to come to peace with something. It means it stops processing in the background of my mind. It comes to a place of rest because it fits into my understanding, or it provides me with some opening of awareness. So that experience is something that I had this morning, and it came sort of out of yesterday's post indirectly. And yesterday's post, real quick, I spoke about Brené Brown, and I talked about a number of things that she goes into on her web series called Atlas of the Heart, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend it. But one of the things she talks about is that the people with the strongest boundaries, this is based on their years and years of research, the people with the strongest boundaries have the most empathy, which might initially seem counterintuitive, that people who are good at creating independence are also the most capable of community, of communion, of connection. But it's actually not. Once you understand it, once you really kind of get inside it, it's not counterintuitive. It makes total sense. But what showed up for me today was, there's a feature of the universe, which is, and I've heard Sadhguru talk about this, it's a feature of the spiritual path that we walk it alone. And there's no negotiating that. You can't walk the path with someone else. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have camaraderie along the way, or that you can't find yourself walking in the same direction as someone else for a while. But there's a radical independence, a radical self-reliance that the spiritual path involves. And it's really easy to lose sight of that. It's really easy to think that we're doing this together with someone else, especially in the context of family life, the kind of householder path in Buddhism, of not being a monk in a monastery, but being in the world with relationships with other people, and potentially a spouse and a family. It's really easy to start to think we're doing this together with whatever smattering of people we have around us. And the universe has a way of reminding us that that's not the case. The universe has a way of continuing to provoke us and to give us that sense that we're in this on our own. That we and it's not that we need to trust people less or rely on them less, or there are many number of kind of practical ways in which we remain completely enmeshed in relationships and completely, we can't live without our community, right? We're not autonomous bubbles. We can't none of the way the world works now would be possible if everybody was just living their own independent life. It's not a statement of our ultimate disconnectedness. But that spiritual growth, spiritual transcendence element is a thoroughly individual journey. And this is where it kind of this is what was coming through this morning. It reminded me of the Brené Brown thing, which is, the healthier the boundaries and the stronger the boundaries, the more capable of empathy people are. And it kind of like clicked for me that really and truly embracing our own independence, our own spiritual independence, is how we will most deeply connect with other people. It is how we will be of the most service. It's how we will be of the most availability. We'll be present with others in a way that we can only be if we are fully if we take on the full responsibilities and the full weight of our own karmic journey, of our own spiritual journey. There's no way around it. And it's really, and I think on the householder path, you almost have more opportunities to practice that than you do in a monastic setting, because we're constantly dealing with relationships. We're constantly dealing with a mishmash of human impulses and overlapping competing interests, and we're in the world. So and I think this is germane to me in a couple of ways, I'd say, in my life, but the thing that gave me the most kind of appreciation, or that gave me the most aha moment, was when I connected this independence of the spiritual path with not just being the most fulfilled myself, because obviously that's also part of it. It's when we take on our own full karmic load and we don't expect anybody to do our job for us, it's like instant empowerment. Instantly we feel in command of our lives, because we are. It's just that moment of taking that on, and then we realize instantly, oh yeah, I've never not been in control. I've never not had total freedom and autonomy. I just was pretending for a while like someone else was going to take care of my bullshit for me. And that's not going to happen. and there's a kind of a waking up in that. That's self-empowering. It empowers the self as well. But it's also the foundation for meaningful connection. It's the foundation for functional relationships as opposed to codependent relationships. And it's just a beautiful, once we get it, once we can kind of get get that set. I mean, it's a beautiful reminder, is what I was going to say. It's the kind of thing that, at least in my life where I am right now, I still have to kind of come out of codependency occasionally. I still have to see, oh look, I did it again, and then just remind myself, wait, what's mine? What's not mine? Where does my boundary go? And then take that seriously. Really live that. And I mean, invariably, there's an expansion that happens when I come to these moments. So it's never failed. Greater independence and autonomy has never failed to create a ripple of expansion that also leads to greater connection. You know, one of my favorite philosophers, Ken Wilber, talked about this, that autonomy and communion are they're polarities. They're polarities, and that means they co-imply each other, and they mutually enhance each other as you go up the spiral of evolution. So, you know, like a cell phone can connect us, or a cell phone can totally disconnect us. They do we have these units of technology floating around our culture, our society, our world, doing both things constantly. It's what are we doing with it? So anyway, I feel like I've got a whole other Brené Brown download coming, because I'm still digesting some of the ideas from when we watched that episode 2 nights ago. But I'll come back to you with those, because I'm not going to forget them. But this felt like an appropriate post for our Independence Day journey to begin. Much love, folks. Have a great day. I appreciate you. Thanks for being part of this conversation with me. I'll see you tomorrow.